Bring back rock.
Hey everybody, it's Dean. Welcome to Bring Back Rock. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, commenting, sharing everything you do to support the channel. I really do appreciate it. Today's band is Kik Tracee. They're part of the Sunset Strip scene. They came out towards the tail end of it. They're a little bit unique, probably due to the singer's voice. Unique enough to stand out, but not so different that they didn't fit into the scene. So Kik Tracee, this is the first time probably in all these videos that I found what two of the guys did post their band, post Kik Tracee, that I found really maybe even more interesting than when they were in the band. A couple of them had some pretty decent, interesting careers after the band. So we also have our poll question to talk about. I'll give you those results at the end of the video. The question was, which album did you prefer post breakup? Was it Motley Crue's self-titled record with John Corabi, which I know is a lot of people's favorite Crue album, or was it Vince Neil's Exposed? So I'll give you those results, but here we're going to talk a little bit about Kik Tracee. I'll play some music samples and I'll catch up with you at the end of the video. Let's start the Kik Tracee story. A few years prior to their formation, vocalist Stephen Schroe attended a NAMM convention in Chicago. NAMM is the National Association of Music Merchants. They have a massive one annually in Anaheim. Anyway, this one was in Chicago, home of the Cubs and the Bears, who still suck. If you know, you know. Anyway, he sees his drummer demoing drums and just killing it. Introduces himself and turns out his band in LA needs a singer. So he flies to LA to audition and he gets the gig. Comes back home and says, I'm moving to California like tomorrow. So off he goes, joins a band. That goes, I think, for a couple of years before the band eventually fizzles. So while weighing his options, whether to return back home to the Midwest or whether to stay out there and keep going, he sees an ad in the Recycler for a singer for a band that sounds interesting. So he auditions for that one and gets the gig. It was with a group of guys who were all veterans of the LA scene. A lot of them went to the same high school in Southern California. You had Rob Grad on bass, Greg Hex Offers on guitar, Michael Marquis on lead guitar, and Scott Donnell on drums. Stephen Schroe joined on vocals, and the band was born. Heard a brief story about how the band came up with their name. Apparently there was somebody named Tracy hanging with them, and I don't know if it said jokingly or if they pissed somebody off, but somebody said, "Kik Tracee out of here." And that's how the band found their name. This was in '88, after playing together for about a year, and they were signed by RCA. Bob Ezrin was tapped to produce, but a scheduling conflict, he said, start working with this guy that I've been working with called Dana Strum, who was going to help. But eventually Bob kind of faded away and was gone, and just Dana remained. The label wanted to get a name producer, but the band fought to keep Dana Strum. Dana, of course, was the bassist for the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and now Slaughter. This was before Slaughter actually broke, which they did while recording, and Dana had to hit the road with the band. For a time, Kik Tracee kind of followed Slaughter when they were opening for Kiss for a few weeks, and they would record on Dana's days off. Other times, they'd be in LA. Dana would fly back when the band had a break. So anyway, it eventually took about 11 months to record the album, 3 main sessions, but with smaller ones also. They recorded in 5 or 6 studios in 3 states. Soon after recording started, Scott Donnell was replaced by drummer Johnny Douglas. Johnny was friends with both Blas Elias, Slaughter's drummer, and Bobby Rock, drummer for everyone, including the Vinnie Vincent Invasion with Dana. All were from Houston, Texas, so he kind of knew them all. He's not sure which guy gave the band his name, but he got the gig. The band had about 3 songs already recorded in the can, so he played on most of the album. As I mentioned, the album took about a year with big breaks of time. So Scott says that helped him bond with the band, helped him learn the songs, jam with them, get to know them as the new guy, And Stephen found it helpful as the band was constantly writing and getting better as songwriters. Also, they got to live with their songs. They got to hear their songs, record them and then hear them and see if there's any way to improve them or change them. So that helped also. I'm going to mention here that Johnny Douglas was also an artist, and a damn good one. He made a name for himself painting drum heads and drum shells and eventually guitars, which I'll talk about more a little later. He was even painting them for other bands, like when Kik Tracee was on the road, he'd be painting drums in his hotel room. I'll mention a few of those more famous ones later on. The album comes out in May of 1991, just before grunge explodes. It was titled No Rules, but was originally going to be Generation Express, which explains the album cover with a train on the front, but the record company wanted the name change. I was given a No Rules promo cassette by a local record store owner. It had Don't Need Rules, Trash City, and You're So Strange on it. Thought the band was really good, but for some reason I didn't get the album until a couple years later. They were the only rock act at the time on RCA. They promoted the band in strange ways, having no rules on a helicopter over a sports stadium, sending them on a 13-city tour, doing radio promos, nights at a bowling alley with fans and contest winners. They'd run through an acoustic set and bowl and hang out with their fans. But the band never really hooked up with a big tour, though they did do some one-off shows with people, mostly touring on their own in clubs and small theaters. The album eventually sold about 150,000 copies. The single Don't Need Rules charted on mainstream rock charts that got up to number 47. You're So Strange also got some airplay, and both had videos that could be seen on MTV, especially Headbangers Ball. Rolling Stone magazine ranked the band's album number 46 in the best hair metal albums, although hair metal doesn't really describe this band correctly. They looked the part, and they rocked, but Steven had an unusual voice for the genre, usually singing in a lower key like Aaron Aspie of the Cult would, or Axl would occasionally do. Maybe even had a little Alice in Chains in it. Anyway, they also had a quality that's hard to label. Maybe a little psychedelic vibe. Maybe that's his voice. I'm not sure. And just on some songs, hard to nail down the song. Although it fit the scene, it was definitely unique enough to be their own thing, which may have helped them or hurt them. Who knows? All right, album number 2 is getting revved up. The band survived round 1 with grunge. Only album number 2 was actually an EP called Field Trip, which came out on RCA in 1992. Since the signing in 89, the band felt they had changed quite a bit, and this EP was kind of meant to bridge the gap between album 1 and 2. Personally, I didn't really love this EP. It wasn't grunge, but it wasn't the band on the first album either. A bit more alternative or experimental even. Full-length album number 2. This is where the trouble starts. The band is writing, rehearsing, and demoing. They even record a full album of demos in a studio with a 16-track recorder, and about to enter the studio to record album number 2 titled Center of Attention. Kind of play on words there, which described the band at the time. Huge internal issues of every type, which no interview I saw goes into great deal on. I don't think they wanted to mudsling it all, but the band decides they need a new singer. Problem is, they find out without Steven, they have no deal. Steven stayed with the label for about 2 more years, working with other writers and musicians, which the label supported, but nothing was released, and eventually they parted ways. And that kind of ended the Kik Tracee story. But a couple of things some of the guys were up to post Kik Tracee were really interesting. Bassist Rob Grad released a solo album titled No Apologies, produced by Cliff Williams of AC/DC. And he had a studio project called Superfine. And if you have the Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack, you can find them on it. Steven Shro, wow, lots of things. Let's talk about the 3 auditions he had. First, his son and Gunnar, Nikki Sixx's son, were friends, and they knew each other a little bit socially. He got a call right after Vince left and said, come down and jam and test it out. So he went and jammed with Motley Crue. He said he has played in some loud places. He has rehearsed in some loud studios, but nothing at all like Motley freaking Crue. He said he was surrounded in like a circle of monitors, like on his own little island. They had it set up like where they would rehearse to go on tour. There was a sound guy running the whole thing. He said it was like sitting in next to a jet engine. He could not even think, it was so freaking loud. Everything went good, but when he left, he said, you know what, that is not the gig for me. Those are some shoes I do not want to fill. So he didn't get offered the job, but even if he did, he's decided that was not the gig for him. The next one he did was Velvet Revolver. Now, they kind of always wanted Scott as a singer, but they tested out a few guys, and he was one of the guys. He did a song called Soul Shine, which he turned into the band, and his manager called like 20 minutes later, said the band is freaking out. They love this song. You know, so Soul Shine was one that really got him in there. They did a couple more songs, one titled Stripper Girl, which apparently was not what the band was looking for, and not really what he wrote about. They didn't really write about the typical debauchery, but anyway, he did not get that gig, even though they loved the song Soul Shine. He also auditioned to be Scott's replacement in Stone Temple Pilots. He said that was the gig that he really wanted, was a Stone Temple Pilots gig. And to be honest, his voice really would have fit that band pretty well. So auditioned for Motley Crue, Velvet Revolver, and Stone Temple Pilots, which he said just getting in the room to audition for those guys was all pretty cool to have those opportunities. He released a couple of solo albums, which are not rock records, and he did release a rock record with the band Zen from Mars, featuring members of Enough's Enough, Fear Factory, and Bang Tango. He also starred in Quadrophenia, which led to high praise from Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey. It also led to him being the lead singer for a Who tribute band. He also kind of struck up a friendship with Pete Townsend afterwards as well. Last, Johnny Douglas continued doing art on drums and guitars for bands like ZZ Top, Van Halen, Joe Perry. I Thought I Saw an Extreme One. Lots of good stuff. He did Joe's famous guitar with his wife Billy's portrait on it. He also painted a picture of Joe playing the guitar just for himself, like a huge wall-size canvas, and he gave it to a mutual friend to have Joe sign. Joe took a look at it immediately and said, "I want that for my album cover," which became the album cover for Have Guitar Will Travel. And he did the book cover for Bobby Rock's book, a painting that really realistic. A lot of people mistook it for a photo that was maybe photoshopped a little bit. Anyway, he was friends with ZZ Top right after the breakup, and they talked him into being the drum tech for a tour, which he did, and he decided he did not want to do it again. Next tour came around, and they wanted him again. He said, "No, it's not for me." They offered a bigger paycheck, and off he went. He's been doing it ever since with Slash, ZZ Top. He was with Van Halen for a really long time as Alex's drum tech, and with Aerosmith. He's occasionally had to fill in on drums, most famously for Aerosmith. When Joey Kramer had his issues, and he became the touring drummer for Aerosmith when Joey wasn't able to do the touring. So, of course, now the band's done touring, but between his art, his teching, and his playing, he's had a nice post-Kik Tracee career, as has Steven. The band Kik Tracee also released a double album called Big Western Sky with demos and rarities. All right, I'm going to play you some song samples from their debut album, and then I'll catch up with you at the end of the video.
You're under a mood to make a motion. I'll be the judge, you're wrong or right. I'm ready to fight. I don't need room. And neither do you. I don't need room. No. Sitting on a swing in a sunset. She was swinging like an innocent child. Then she lives on the bed, letting me do the rest. I think I'm gonna dig her style. She's getting ready to blow. It's getting out of control. The only crush. Oh, girl, you give me a rush. My little velvet crush. Yes, you're just a little too much, my little velvet crush. Who knows what you'll find? The funky little things get all blown up. I try to ease the pain. Can't remember my name. There's no one else to blame. But when I ask this guy's opinion about what he thinks is going on, don't go astray. It's just another day. Big western sky, shooting stars at you. Big western sky, that's what gets me through. Big western sky, it gets me through. All I think about is making music, and all she thinks about is making music to me. I'm a melody Things keep changing, keep. Whoa, you and I, we always sang the right song together. It's crazy how we harmonize, but now you've gone and kissed yourself goodbye. Cause you're so strange. You're so strange. Sometimes I try to forget all those things that we said, but baby, I'm so tired. You girl, you're so strange. Look out! Everybody turns their head away. They just ignore the situation. Because I'm sick of seeing all this trash. Living in a city with no green grass. That's where I'm living now. That's where I'm living now. Come on, down, 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 down to Trash City. That's where I'm living. Down, 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 down to Trash City. Yeah, that's where I am. Mr. Bush working every day. He got a nasty reputation. We'd like to know a little bit about you for our files. We'd like to help you learn to help yourself. Yes, we would. Look around you, all you see are sympathetic lives. Stroll around until you feel at home. Oh, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Jesus loves you more than you will know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God bless you, please, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. I said, hey, 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 get it up!
All right, so that was a little bit on Kik Tracee. Where can you find them? Field Trip and No Rules is on the streaming services. You can find all of their records for a decent price if you look around. The only complaint I had with the album was that it ran a little bit long. It was over an hour long. The final song was just a short instrumental, but they had 13 other songs, so 14 tracks total. 13 other songs ran over an hour long, and I think 2 songs were under 4 minutes. So the songs were pretty long. The album was pretty long. I think it could have been trimmed down and made a little bit tighter, but that's my only complaint. All right, poll results. Which album did you like better post-breakup? Motley Crue's self-titled record or Vince Neil's Exposed? In second place, we have Motley Crue's self-titled album at 39%. And at 61%, we have Vince Neil's Exposed. 2 really good albums, 2 very different albums. I love them both. All right. Thanks again for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode.